Hi folks, my name's Chris Payton from the University of Auckland. Welcome to this lecture on Introduction to Linux. So the learning objectives are, first of all, describe what Linux is, compare Linux to Unix, Mac OS and Windows, talk a little bit about the open source philosophy and talk about the difference between GNU and Linux and GNU Linux. You can find notes about what we're talking about in the Textbook of Linux website. We're just going to cover what's in the first chapter, Introduction, What is Linux? Okay, so Linux has been around for quite a while now, and over the last 20 or so years has gradually increased to becoming the most popular operating system by device in the world. And probably the largest majority of Linux devices are actually mobile phones. So the Android operating system is Linux. It has a customized userland, which we'll talk about in a minute. But Linux is also used on lots of devices that people use. So although you might not be using Linux on your laptop or your desktop computer, it's used on the majority of web servers. If you're watching a video online, it's probably been streamed off a Linux computer. If you do a search of the web, it will be that will be powered by Linux computers. If you use an automated teller machine, that's using Linux normally. Booking flights, your Wi-Fi router or router in your house will have Linux. A lot of industrial robots. I think even the space station runs on Linux now. Smart TVs quite often run Linux, and all the top 500 supercomputers now run Linux, and most of the cloud is Linux. So Linux is pretty much everywhere, although you probably don't kind of realise it while you're using these services. And we kind of still think of Windows and Mac OS as the kind of main operating systems, but really if you count all of this stuff, then Linux is one of the main operating systems. So what is Linux? People use the term to describe different things, but really Linux is the kernel, and the Linux kernel was what was invented by Linus Torvalds, and he was the creator of Linux. And in the next lecture we'll talk about the history of Linux, about how Linus worked with another group to put the kernel together with the userland applications that are needed to make an operating system to create GNU Linux. So sometimes people say, when you talk to people about Linux, they say they're talking about the kernel, the Linux kernel, and this manages, it's kind of the interface between the hardware and the computer software. So it does things like managing the scheduling on the CPU, controls the memory, controls the files and the network, and that's really what Linux is. So like Linux 6 point something, I think it's 6.7 at the moment, that is what Linux really is. However, people talk about Linux as an operating system, and with an operating system you do need the kernel, but you need other things as well. So you need the user space tools, and these originally came from the GNU project, and that stands for GNU's not Unix, as a recursive algorithm, and those are things like the shell, libraries and utilities, and a variety of command line and desktop tools. And so the kernel plus the user space tools, that is, some people call that the Linux operating system, but the official name really should be the GNU/Linux operating system. And then people will talk about things like Ubuntu, or Arch, or various other distributions, and these are where the operating system is packaged with an installer, so you can install it on your computer, with a package manager that allows you to keep software up to date and install new software, and also a variety of kind of defaults. Sometimes they offer customer support, and you can sometimes get it on a CD, and you can install it on your computer and kind of run it. So those are things like Ubuntu, Fedora, Arch, and there's quite a few distributions or distros of Linux now. So that's really what Linux is. There's a diagram here that shows kind of how that sits in the kind of space between hardware and software. So at the bottom, you've got the computer hardware, and then the Linux kernel is the software that sits above that, and we call that kernel space. So the kernel's talking to the hardware directly. And then above that, we've got the user space. So this is kind of what the user sees and can interact with. And that has the applications like Firefox and Vim and things. Utilities, these are the kind of the commands you might type. Libraries that help software to run, like glibc and libssl. And then the system call interface, that's what the kind of kernel talks to in the user space. And the user space is what changes with the different distributions. So if we kind of compare Linux with other operating systems, so Linux is a Unix-like operating system, and in the next talk we're going to talk about the history of where it came from, but it was inspired by Unix, and it wanted to be had the same commands and be used in the same way as Unix, but it's been rewritten from top down, so it's not like it was Unix and then Linux was kind of built on top of it. It was just designed to be the same. POSIX is the standard that kind of defines Unix, and Linux has never kind of officially met the standard but is mostly compliant with it. The shell that's used by Linux is usually bash, but also can be ZSH, and it uses package managers like apt, which is used on Ubuntu, and pacman, which is used on Arch. So Unix predates Linux and was kind of the original kind of Unix operating system. It was a proprietary system, so it wasn't open source. So that's quite a common confusion. People think that the original Unix was open source. The standard POSIX kind of defines it and uses SH or KSH for the shell, and then would have various vendor-specific package managers and packaging tools, and it was usually licensed, and we'll talk about the history of it, but it was licensed normally to academic institutions. And then we've got Mac OS. So Mac OS actually is Unix, so it's a certified Unix, which is quite interesting. So Linux isn't certified, but Mac OS is. It's built on Darwin and uses the XENU kernel, or XNU, and it's distributed by Apple, obviously. Uses ZSH as the default shell, and it's got the official app store, but there's also a system called Homebrew, which is a package manager for installing tools on the command line. And Mac OS is always bundled with Mac hardware, so you can't get any old computer and put Mac OS on it. It's built on BSD Unix, which is different from Linux, and we'll talk a bit about that next time. And then Windows is not Unix at all, so it's kind of the standout difference. Operating system uses a kernel called NT, and is not open source. It's proprietary. It does meet some of the POSIX kind of standards. Has a shell which is called PowerShell, but has different commands from the Linux. although it does now have a kind of Linux built within it, so if you want to run Linux commands, you can now with Windows. Has different package managing tools and different file paths and different permissions, and a completely different way of doing things than Unix, Linux, or Mac OS. So summary, Linux is Unix-like, Mac OS actually is Unix, Windows is a different family. So one thing people associate Linux quite strongly with is the open source movement. And there's two main kind of groups in the open source movement. One is the Free Software Foundation, and these are the people behind GNU and their user space tools that are used in Linux. And they considered that software freedom is like an ethical standpoint, and software should be free as a right. So anybody should be able to run any bit of software. They should be able to study it, look at the source code, modify the source code, and share it. And they created a license called the GPL, which also is called copyleft, and that basically says that anyone can use the software, they can edit it, do what they want with it, but if they create new software, they can even sell the software, but the software has to follow the GPL license. So you can do commercial activity with GPL software, but you have to release whatever you do if you're going to release it under a GPL license. And then there's another group which is the Open Source Initiative, which is more recent and basically has a less kind of ethical focus and more practical, and saying that open source is good because we get better code, basically, because people can review the code and develop it, and you get faster development. So there's an interesting thing going on at the moment in the UK where the government used to release code developed for the National Health Service as open source, and because of recent developments with AI finding bugs in code and software and kind of security problems, they've decided to not use open source anymore, and people are saying, well, being open source might actually be better because you have more people looking at the code and seeing if there's bugs, and if you close the source code, then it might only be the hackers that go through it. So the 4 freedoms of open source are to run for any purpose, study and inspect and modify the code, redistribute, share copies, and improve it. Okay, and Linux as an open source project is developed by thousands of people now, and although Linus Torvalds is still the final kind of arbiter of the code, he decides what goes into the kernel, lots and lots of people contribute to the code now. Okay, thanks very much for listening. You can read about this on the Textbook of Linux website, which is free and open access. Go to textbookoflinux.com, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Thanks very much.